a true production.
My dear conquering community, welcome to another episode of Conquer Your World. I'm extremely excited because I managed to make an episode I really wanted to do, despite the traffic, despite the borders, despite everything. Dr. Maria Alejandra Ruiz. For me, Ale,
So, just like that.
just like that, welcome. How are you?
No, I'm really glad to be here. If people only knew
How about that, huh?
what we had to do to make this happen, honestly, you'd want to watch this episode every day for a week.
Welcome to Mexico City and to our chaos.
Thank you so much.
How have you been received?
They always give me a warm welcome in Mexico.
That's good.
I can't deny it. I love it.
But the commutes are an issue, right?
Totally.
Yes, but well, thank you for making the effort. Thank you for being here. I think we're going to contribute a lot to many people who were already asking for this interview in my community, because I tend to talk a lot about childhood wounds, especially as they apply to love and relationships. So, do you think we could explore that direction?
Of course, perfect.
Great. You just published a book, which I had the honor of presenting, and we'll be sharing some scenes about it soon. It's called The Child I Was, the Adult I Choose to Be. When we talk about childhood wounds, what are we talking about? Because a lot of people might still say, hey, what do you mean by a wound? What is a childhood wound? How would you describe it?
You know, for me, those are situations that we experience at some point that left behind a kind of sadness, like a feeling of emptiness in the background. And now you see it or relive it in certain other things. And you say, let's see. Something hurts here, but I'm not completely aware of what it is. And many times it's the absence of what I'm talking about, which has a lot to do with abandonment or rejection. Which not only happens in childhood, but I think it also happens in other stages of life, in adolescence, in early adulthood. And you carry it with you, and only when you go through a crisis in life or something intense is happening, that's when all those wounds come out.
So, could we equate a childhood wound with a trauma?
Possibly.
And with an unconscious programming that stayed there and causes us pain?
Completely.
Okay?
And notice that it doesn't always have to be associated with rape, with something like that super traumatic. But it could have been something as simple as your parents forgetting to pick you up from school. It can be something as simple as being compared to your brother or your sister, like, why can't you be as good at studying as your brother or your sister?
And you touch on a very beautiful topic, because many times parents who did their best say, how could I have hurt my child if I loved them as best as I could? And many times it doesn't have to do with the mistreatment from the father or mother, but with our own perceptions, right?
Yes. Notice that you and I could be siblings and have the same parents. And the wound I have could be very different from yours, even though we were raised in the same environment. So, a lot depends on how you interpreted what happened to you and how I interpreted what happened to me.
Okay, so basically it's an unconscious belief that causes us pain.
Completely.
And how do they affect us in adult life? I mean, in what ways do we start to sabotage ourselves? Or what were those wounds for? Or why did they happen? Many times we don't understand.
You know, in adult life, you'll notice it because, for example, with the wound of abandonment, I really like to show it as that fear of loneliness. I don't end this relationship because I'm afraid of being alone. I'm really scared of what might happen. I'm scared. What if I don't find someone else? What if that person stops loving me? And you start getting into that dynamic of feeling jealous and wanting to keep people around you and getting attached to people you often don't even want. It's just out of habit, just because of the fear of being alone. That's when you realize that maybe there's an abandonment wound you haven't fully healed from, and it's something that goes way back.
Yes. You have to look at that pain many times, because usually 99% of the time we point at the other person, we blame them, and we don't see the big mirror that it is. So, to start identifying those mirrors, those reflections, what would be the most common wounds? Because I know there are 5 that are very recognizable, that people are a bit more aware of now, but are there more, or is it just those?
Supposedly there are five, but I love to talk about three that I think are the main ones. I don't really believe in the others, or rather, it's not that I don't believe, but I think they're too intertwined.
Okay.
So for me, there's the wound of abandonment, the wound of rejection, and the wound of betrayal, which is really intense.
Okay.
Because it's when you somehow expose the deception or realize that people lie or don't keep their promises. That's where your distrust of the rest of the world comes from, where now you want to check if they're telling you the truth. You don't want to risk believing again and being lied to. That's the case if you grew up in an environment or with parents where you suddenly witnessed the issue of infidelity. If one of your parents was unfaithful and you were sent to try to check if something was going on, you learned that adults tell lies. So it's very likely that in your adult life now you're like, but are you telling me the truth? Will it really happen? Will you keep your promise? Much of this depends on that wound.
Absolutely, especially when they discuss the wound of betrayal. When your dad or mom vented to you about the other, like, hey, they treat you as their complaint dumping ground. And for you, since you saw them as a team or together without realizing it, that's a betrayal.
Of course.
Or how? Why do we perceive it? A child can't handle one parent speaking badly about the other, right?
And notice that it's a very difficult role to be in because you want to be on good terms with both of them.
Yes.
And they put you in a situation where your age doesn't match that situation, and you don't have the maturity or the ability to understand what's happening. I think that people, and I've noticed this a lot, when they go through that kind of wound, it's very hard for them to make decisions because guilt controls them too much.
Really?
So there's guilt about everything where you don't want to let anyone down and you end up getting involved in a lot of things just because in that urge not to disappoint anyone.
So let me see. Is abandonment mainly caused by the physical or emotional absence of parents? Any other reason?
It can also be distance and coldness because in some homes it's not very common to hug or say, I love you, I'm very proud of you. However, you felt that as an absence. I missed that affection. I could have felt or experienced that support.
I mean, there was no presence of an emotional figure.
Emotional,
Exactly, even if he was physically present.
even if he had been there physically.
Okay, then rejection, which is another one you like to highlight. How is that mainly generated?
Rejection happens through comparison.
Okay. You compare yourself or others compare you.
They compare you, and it could be about socioeconomic issues, it could be social, or as simple as someone saying, no, look, this is the light-skinned one in the family, as they might say, right? The same thing happened in many households, where there's one who's lighter-skinned, another darker, and another more brown-skinned. And to get rid of those diminutives and nicknames or making references to physical appearance, for example,
She's chubbier.
she's chubbier or she's skinnier.
Or maybe this one is the smart one because of his good grades, while the other is the troublemaker.
The black sheep of the family.
And I imagine that also not just from your parents. For example, at a young age with bullying or things like that, it can happen.
You can't imagine the huge impact that has being in an environment where they give you nicknames, where they constantly make you feel like you're different. I really love talking about the topic of rejection because it's very real and the message is very clear. You don't belong, you're not part of,
You're not accepted.
you're not accepted. So now, as an adult, you're going to fight to earn a place, you're going to fight really hard to stand out. Or by reading, like people's gestures, or constantly interpreting silences to make sure they're not rejecting you.
Okay. And then the other one you wanted to highlight was betrayal.
The one about betrayal.
We'll set aside humiliation and injustice for now,
Yes, although
because they're intertwined.
they're intertwined, but for example, when we talk about injustice, you'll notice it in people who at some point felt inferior. And that creates the wound of you are inferior, you are less. And you spend your whole life trying to climb and reach better positions economically, to rise again, to show yourself in authority, in a position of authority, so that you never ever feel that humiliation again.
And betrayal, which we already talked about a little, how, besides the examples we already gave, how can it happen? I mean, not just because your parents speak badly about each other or because someone is unfaithful. In what other ways can you also perceive betrayal when you're a child?
If someone was a victim of sexual abuse and they told one of their parents or an adult, if that person didn't defend them, it caused a betrayal wound.
Wow. And it can happen in other situations. I mean, for example, if I'm being bullied at school and no one does anything to defend me.
Or let's suppose that you were being bullied and you realize that one of the people who was supposedly your friend was also participating in that bullying. That's when you realize that people aren't so transparent. So you're going to go through life with a filter of, I'm not going to trust this one or that one too much because I know there could be certain things going on.
Okay. Ale, and here's a really interesting question. What meaning or purpose do these wounds have? Is it just to sabotage our lives, or is there something more to it?
I think, let's see. I think that when we finally realize that we have wounds, it's in very crucial moments of life. When we have one of those terrible existential crises, when we're rethinking life, or when we break up with someone, that's when the wound bursts open. And you say, but why does it hurt so much that this person decided not to be with me anymore? Why is this almost relationship hitting me so hard? If you analyze it, you'll see it's the same wound and pain accumulating. It was already there. It's just that you hadn't seen it or worked on it, and when it finally confronts you, you say, oh, that's why it hurts so much.
And why is it that we kind of encapsulate it to survive, to avoid feeling pain? I mean, why instead of letting it go or talking about it? I mean, we're at an age, not very skilled for those things, but wait, I mean, why does it stay so deep in our subconscious? And from there, what happens? Because I know that certain types of attachments start, certain defense mechanisms, certain masks. I mean, what does it mean? What is the purpose of that wound in our life? Because then there comes a point where we no longer have to survive bullying or the most vulnerable stage. And then it's still there.
Notice that when we have that wound, it's not that it defines our personality, but in some way it does. I'm going to give you a very clear example. If I have an abandonment wound, and I think that people are going to leave my life at any moment. What do you think I'll do when I get close to someone and things start to feel emotional?
Either you're going to get really scared or you're going to be the first one to leave.
There it is.
100%.
There it is.
So that they don't abandon you.
So that they don't abandon you?
And that, without a doubt, is something that really sabotages your relationships. That's exactly where I wanted to go after this introduction. So let's dive fully into romantic relationships if you want. You could illustrate for us a bit how those wounds show up in daily life, in different relationship situations. And since you're talking about abandonment, how can I and the people listening to us start to realize that maybe an abandonment wound is resonating there? From meeting someone to being in a relationship, whatever comes to mind.
Let's start with anxious attachment.
Okay.
Anxious attachment is strongly connected to the abandonment wound you mentioned. I already have an abandonment wound. It turns out that in trying to feel better and find someone who won't abandon me, I get involved with someone who more or less repeats my pattern, the one I already know about abandonment. So at first it's love, he's very kind, he does a lot of things for me, and then he starts to get distant, cold, like he doesn't talk the same anymore, he starts to withdraw. And it triggers my wound. Since he doesn't leave my life but stays there, now he's just intermittent. I'm going to develop an anxious attachment. That anxious attachment will make me constantly check my phone to see if he texted me, if he's online, who he's liking, who he's calling, who he's talking to.
Literally anxious.
Literally anxious, where my main concern will be, when is this person going to leave my life? That's what we call anxious attachment.
People with anxious attachment often seek reassurance they're loved and won't be abandoned, right?
Correct.
They become very needy.
It's like a constant anxiety of, oh, look, now he just said, hi, how are you, instead of saying, hi, my love. He left earlier today instead of staying with me all night.
Okay.
He said he wants to go out with his friends instead of just me. You start to overthink, to try to identify, to try to interpret every action of that person. So Obviously, you trigger anxiety and stress because you can't live in a relationship with so much uncertainty.
Basically, you're seeing abandonment in everything you do,
Exactly.
expecting it so you won't suffer.
Totally.
Okay. And here comes an irony that we call a self-fulfilling prophecy, which because of that, they leave you. Why?
Because look, let's suppose I have anxious attachment. So now I start, oh no, they haven't texted me, I'm going to call them. Where are you? Don't you want to talk? You don't care anymore, do you? My anxiety and wanting to hear from him for him to tell me that things are okay because that's my job. I just want him to tell me that we're okay. If he tells me that we're okay, I'm perfect. But if he doesn't tell me what I want to hear, my mind will keep going around and around until it becomes an obsessive issue for me. What's going on? That person will sense my anxiety and begin to distance themselves since I'm suffocating them.
Oh, yeah. The first few times they can comfort you.
Exactly.
If that's the pattern, then
Again, I already told you. Are you asking me that again? Seriously, Maria Alejandra, are we discussing this again? I already said it would be X or Y. I just keep going. That will cause the person to develop avoidant attachment, leading them to avoid and distance themselves from me. Because I'm provoking them, I'm overwhelming them with questions and things, so that's where what you just said comes in. That's the prophecy.
so the more anxious you are, the more avoidant he becomes, and it's a dance of opposites, where one runs away and the other chases.
Johnny, if you want to push away an avoidant person, start chasing them. Nothing pushes a person away more than trying to chase or catch them by force.
And generally, anxious people attract avoidance, or is it just my imagination?
Yes,
Why?
because I think that's the challenge. Remember that the main goal is to be chosen. So, if I'm anxious, I need to feel important to someone because I've felt abandoned many times. I'm trying to make my story different this time, but with the same characters.
Okay.
So, who is the perfect candidate for me? The one who grows distant, gives me small bits of love, then stops talking, appearing and disappearing. He talks to me sweetly one day, the next day he acts like I don't exist. He treats me with a certain coldness.
He's the one who causes your wound.
The love of the wound.
Exactly. Here there's a traumatic compatibility, and the funny thing, which few of us manage to understand even after studying it a lot, and what I want is for you to break it down for us as if we were little kids. It's that the wound is looking to be activated. The wound is trying to speak to us. True or false?
No, it's true.
And why? For what?
I have two theories.
Okay.
Let's see. The first one is I'm trying to recreate something, a story. It's like I have an unfinished story.
Okay.
And I need them to be the same characters as always. That's why we repeat patterns and choose the same people. So, I need that person who is so emotionally unavailable to me, who is so cold and so difficult, who is my personal challenge, to be the one who chooses me. If someone else chooses me or someone else comes and speaks to me nicely, I'm not interested. What for?
There's no adrenaline.
What for? No, not you. You don't trigger my trauma, so why would I want to be with you? What I want is the one who represents a total challenge for me, the one who makes me feel all that adrenaline, all that excitement of being chosen by him.
Thinking it's positive excitement without realizing it's actually trauma.
Without realizing it's actually trauma.
Because no one ever teaches us that.
No one ever teaches us.
Chemistry is really just trauma, the wound fully activated.
Of course.
What for? This famous question, what for? Why do we want to activate that wound? I mean, we want to give our story a different ending. We want to heal our family history with that partner.
That's my theory, that we want a different story. We finally want to give it that happy ending we didn't have before. And from all those patterns we've been repeating, even from our own parents, us too. Let's see, if my mom was married to someone who was an alcoholic and I get involved with an alcoholic. Now my goal when I try to change him is I'm going to be different from my mom. And they are going to choose me. They didn't choose my mom, but they are going to choose me and they will change for me.
The recipe for chaos.
The recipe for chaos.
People won't change just because you want them to.
No one is going to change unless they want to.
It's a door that opens inward.
Trying to change someone is a waste of time because whoever is going to change will actually do it because they want to. But not out of love or desire to be with you. People only change when they feel a loss, when they feel they might lose something important. That's the only thing that forces us to change.
Let's see. Explain that a little more for us, please, because I think a lot of people will be interested in that.
Yes, you see, there's this mistaken belief that people change for love, and I don't believe that. I think we change for selfish reasons. If I don't like the consequences of not changing, I'm going to choose to change. But not because I'm afraid of losing you, it's because I'm afraid of losing what comes with losing you and losing everything I've already built. But not really for the other person. That's a lie. We don't change for anyone. We're selfish.
We're selfish. But when you change, you realize it was the best thing for you.
Of course,
So is it positive in the end?
you can be a catalyst.
The famous mirror.
You can be a catalyst and decide to change so you don't lose your home.
Uh-huh.
My home?
Uh-huh.
Do you see? I'm not changing because, oh, he cries every day for me. He feels really bad because I don't talk to him nicely anymore because I'm not doing the things I used to do before. I'm not going to change because of that. You see, I would change. Why? Because the idea of not having a partner suddenly moves something inside me, or because I'm already tired of the consequences of being the way I am?
Okay, that would be something positive.
It's positive. As long as they change, the reason doesn't matter. The problem is staying in relationships waiting for something that won't happen.
That's what I was getting at. There are people who don't even change out of selfishness, and they repeat the same pattern and the same results, and they live in the same hell, with the same or a different devil. What has to happen for those people to realize that's not the way? That life is telling them, hey, wake up, be aware, that's not the way, you need to adjust something in yourself. I mean, why do people repeat the lesson so many times before they learn, or sometimes they never learn it? Could it be that they're not aware that this can be done, or what is it? What's going on, Ale?
You would think that, there are people who like to suffer.
Really?
No. I don't think people like to suffer, although there are psychological tests that show that some people have certain masochistic or more melancholic traits than others. That I can tell you, and that really surprised me.
Okay.
We all have a personality style that has certain traits. However, I don't think that's the reason why we stay in relationships where we don't feel appreciated or loved. I actually think that when we're so attached to someone who isn't good for us, it's because we've made that person our personal project. I don't have any personal projects or anything that motivates me or a life purpose, so that person becomes like my whole world, and that's the danger of making someone else your world.
Your world. Of course, because if that person leaves,
You're left without a world.
of course.
You're left without a world.
And that's living through the other person, through their resources, their love, their self-esteem, their friends, everything. And then you realize when you end that relationship with the breakup, you say, I'm suffering because I have nothing. And those famous songs like, I lost everything without you, I'm worth nothing without you, are true because you didn't build your own world first. So this is a reminder and a wake-up call that Ale and I are giving you with a lot of love and compassion to tell you that you need to have more to your world than just a partner. And that means hobbies, routines, self-love, healthy things, friends, a job, whatever fills your soul, but don't live just for one person.
And you know that you start to realize that something is very, very wrong. When your world starts to revolve only around that person, I mean, you wake up thinking about that person, you go to bed thinking about that person, you suffer all day. If that person isn't constantly with you, you don't make plans without that person.
You're always available for that person.
You're available, and if that person decides to have any kind of attitude with you, it completely ruins your day and you can't do absolutely anything else.
I've been there too. Horrible.
We've all experienced it and it's awful. Anyone who denies it is lying.
But it's not because we like to suffer. Why is that?
I think that
Excuse me, but the songs just seem to make us... Sweet is the suffering. We sing?
It's very romanticized, Johnny. It's not true, but it's not true. We don't love to suffer. Who likes to suffer?
I think the same as you, but the pop world tells us sing about suffering, watch movies about suffering, read books about suffering. Everything in life is suffering. Why do we suffer?
Why do we suffer? Look, I think that, and referring to one of my clients, I used to tell her, you are eternally heartbroken. If she's watching, she knows who she is, but
Greetings.
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 But do you know what happens? That wound we were talking about, when you're not aware of it or you want to play dumb and you know you have that wound, you don't want to do anything about it, you just keep going around in circles as if you were inside a cage or like a hamster running in circles. So it's not that we love to suffer, but I think that in some way the beliefs we already have, the issue of beliefs is very powerful too. We
validate our beliefs.
we are very programmed. Look, a few days ago I heard something someone told me who said, "Oh, I just love them. I can't deal with those men who are just too nice." And I said, like who? Like the bad boy?
Typical.
And he would say to me, "Oh, it's just that I like it." Like when he's like, "Oh, like interesting, like flirty."
Mysterious.
Mysterious, like you never know what he's thinking all the time. See? That belief. What do you think will happen with it? It's going to keep going around in circles for a long time and it's not that she likes to suffer. It's just that she doesn't have the openness to realize that she needs to change the same pattern she's repeating.
You know what's something I've noticed and has been well studied? You manifest your beliefs. So if you have the belief that you like bad boys, then you're going to be with bad boys. The problem is that then that bad boy is going to break your heart, or rather, you're going to break it yourself by choosing bad boys. And since nobody taught us how to process pain, Ale, we think that pain is something to make us feel like victims, to carry it around, to go sing sad songs, drink tequila, mariachi. And since we see that people kind of resonate with that pain, we stay there for a long time, we carry it, and we suffer. When the pain, and here I want you to give me your perspective, it becomes a messenger
It's a messenger, John.
of things you have to change in your beliefs, which become wounds, which become attachments, masks, all of this that we're talking about.
You're absolutely right. Sometimes that very sad situation that we went through at some point, and I know that many people are going through that right now too. It's not always as bad as we want to see it.
Oh, yes.
It's not so bad, Johnny. Sometimes things just have to happen. I love talking about something called the principle of impermanence, that nothing stays the same. We love to think that love has to be eternal, that people come to stay with us forever, and that's not true.
Forever.
The end of every relationship is to end at some point. That's the end. Whether it's because you die or because love ends, period, but it ends.
100%.
Relationships end. That's a cruel truth that whenever I say it, even in conferences, people are like, what? But it's true.
I agree.
Love ends. I mean, either because you die, or that person stops loving you, or you stop loving that person. But we cling so much to the idea that it has to last forever, and that's where we start to suffer, because keeping someone's love requires work and effort. Some things aren't entirely up to you, even if you're the most amazing person. The other person may change their priorities, and you can't control whether they fall in love with you every day. You can only do what you can, but you can't control what the other person is feeling or what they want or the experiences they want to have.
And when something hurts us and we can't control it, we start to suffer instead of doing one of two things. Either accept that this person wanted to leave, that it no longer depended on us, that maybe we and the version of ourselves we put into that relationship just wasn't enough. Or that maybe this teacher is simply showing us through pain the things we need to heal. That brings me back to wounds. We discussed abandonment, but now I want to address rejection in relationships. What does a person who has the wound of rejection look like when it comes up in dating or in a romantic relationship?
When someone's rejection wound is too active, they'll likely display a personality that isn't truly theirs. It's a mask.
Okay.
So at first he's going to seem very accommodating, and when he sees he can't keep up with it anymore, he'll start to show his other side. More impulsiveness, more fear of showing himself, more reactivity to certain things. And what you're saying, I mean, our version of ourselves changes all the time. We don't stay the same. We show certain things at first, like you said, dating at the beginning, but then you start to notice other different things. And there are people who bring out a version of you very different. Not everyone brings out the same version of you. There are people who bring out a beautiful version that just comes naturally to you and it's spontaneous. You become more romantic, more passionate, more present, while there are others who bring out the worst version of you, I would say.
Here's an interesting question, which doesn't mean it's a rule, but why do we end up falling in love with people who bring out a traumatic side of us? I mean, because sometimes I say, well, and this is like shooting myself in the foot because I'm a fan of and preach personal growth. But then I say, what if instead of everyone healing their wounds, we just found people who brought out that version of us without making it a big deal? But you don't choose those people. You choose your ideal mirror and teacher. Why? Or why do I see that this happens to most people?
I think that has a very deep meaning, and you're going to have to help me with that. Because I actually think, do you know what I was thinking? That sometimes we don't even suffer because of the person, but because of the situation.
All right.
So, you were just saying a messenger. I hate saying it was a lesson. And I say, but why should I care? In what way did I want it? What lesson or whatever? I didn't want to learn that, especially not like that.
But your soul, here he comes.
Here he comes.
Here he comes.
Here he comes. And a lot of people agree with me when they say, yeah, it's true. What teacher, really? But there is a greater purpose than that, which is what we refuse to see. Behind that breakup, behind that deep pain you feel, there is a part of you that you are not paying attention to. There is self-abandonment, there is self-rejection.
Yes.
And I think that ultimately that's the message, not even the character, because for me it's just any other character they chose to bring out to trigger that wound in you.
Of course, same hell, different devil. You've lived it several times in your life. It's not the person, it's the situation you manifest with that or another person. And here I want to add something for you. You'll develop it better. But that's why we don't choose, at least not most of the people I know, nor do I, the person who brings out this stable, calm side in us. Because honestly, it bores us. It makes us feel lazy.
How boring.
How boring. Ah, she's a good friend, but no, I don't feel that adrenaline, that infatuation, that rush. Because your soul doesn't want to. Your soul is seeking to be heard and wants expansion and wants you to return to yourself. And I say return to yourself here because I think, and this is my philosophy, that we are born as divine enlightened beings, diamonds. But with all this pain we feel from childhood wounds, insecure attachments, defense mechanisms, masks, bullying, everything you can imagine, we begin coating that diamond with carbon. And that's the being, the character that goes out into the world. Pretending to be stone, tough, strong, functional, that can endure anything, that can handle everything, that can resist it all. But there's a diamond inside us that says, hey, you're making me dull and I want to shine again. So, for you to understand how to return to yourself, I'm going to put the teachers of your life in front of you. So that with pressure and pain, even if you don't want it, like we said, I consciously don't want pain. You polish this diamond in the rough and shine again as you heal. Such a beautiful concept.
I hadn't heard it put that way before, but it's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to add something.
Yes, please.
Because what you said was wonderful. There's a theory about the hunter and the prey.
Okay.
There are people whose learning is to stop running away from relationships and from their own emotions. It's as if they had learned not to validate themselves, as if they had learned that what they feel isn't important. So whether it's their mission, their purpose, or whatever it may be, they need a teacher, someone who will confront them with that reality. Forcing them to stop running away and to confront it. In other words, we would be talking about levitative, the choice of levitative.
Okay.
Let yourself be loved. Learn to let yourself be loved. Learn to be more generous with your affection, to stop being so egocentric and give love to other people. That's the main lesson for Levitativo.
Okay.
Now, there is a lesson for the hunter, which is you have to learn to stop being chasing after people so that they'll love you. That's why the more you insist on chasing after that person, the more they're going to keep running and escaping from you. The main and deepest lesson in all of this is you are already important and people need to value you for who you are. You have to love yourself for who you are, for what you offer, for what you bring into a relationship. It's not your job to go running after people so that they'll love you. That's the central message of that. So if we add what you just said, it's completely true. You are a diamond, but you haven't realized that you are. You have the ability to give. You have an amazing gift for giving. But since you lack self-belief, you hesitate to share it, thinking others won't appreciate or value it.
Agreed. You disconnected from yourself? From that genuine part because of all these things you misunderstood or your parents did wrong or abuses you suffered at school, etc. And then either you became anxious and give everything of yourself to everyone even if they don't deserve it. Maybe. And you go around chasing after prey. All to avoid feeling pain again. You avoid, and you don't let anyone in. And there, I think that's where the game of modern love is. I think that's where it explains why today love love in quotes is disgusting. Because people, by not looking at themselves, by not understanding the lessons, by not understanding their pain, by not polishing their diamond, by continuing to chase after any crumb and handout, or avoiding letting someone in because of out of fear of being vulnerable or feeling suffocated, since we live in this world of
Superficial.
yes, of ghosting, of almost somethings, of the empowered woman who doesn't need anyone, but in reality is dying for someone to help her with all the burden. Of the man who is already settled in and like a son.
The prince-like men.
The prince-like men. And well, we could talk about 1,000 examples. So, how important is what we're achieving in this conversation? And by the way, I feel very stimulated talking with you because I think we're on the same wavelength. So that the people who are listening to us understand that as long as they don't heal their wounds and achieve self-awareness and heal their attachments and everything we're talking about, they'll keep playing on the board of modern love, or rather of heartbreak. To move to the board of true love, you have to love yourself first. And here, confirm or debate me, but I think that if someone doesn't do the inner work, Ale, even if you give them the prince or princess they've always dreamed of, that person stops being a prince and becomes a teacher. Cruel, right?
Oh, totally. Or even worse, you, with that desire to have that Prince Charming and for him to come, but because you're thinking about it, or because you're still so attached to that idea, to those beliefs you had before, you're going to let that chance for true love slip by. Look, let's talk about true love.
I love it. Let's talk about true love.
For me, true love isn't the kind where there are no arguments. I also don't think true love is the boring kind. In true love, I believe there's a deep sense of complicity. They're a team.
Exactly.
They're friends, and it might be that sometimes they can't stand each other, which is normal.
Of course.
It's normal to sometimes think, oh my God, what am I doing here? But it's that person who gives you a peace that no one else does. And it's not dependent on certain things, but rather it's a constant support you feel from that person where you feel like you can be yourself. That you don't have to be pretending all the time or trying to carry a relationship on your own.
I agree with you, and I would add to that because, as you said, they are accomplices. That they are, and I experience it with my wife, with Karen. We are companions on a journey of self-discovery. Very rocky, very uncomfortable. But it's a little better because someone is with you, they mirror you, support you, motivate you, and help you see the parts or blind spots that you can't see. And that scares a lot of people. So that's why they say, no, 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 no. I'll stay here in the almost something. Or I'll stay here with casual sex. Or I'll stay here with ghosting and I just got what I wanted. Because getting into a trip like that and making an effort, I don't want to. But they miss out on a lot. For me, a lot of magic, a lot of growth, of finding someone to share an adventure with. Or what do you think?
It's just that beautiful love requires a lot of maturity and commitment because that's not something you build overnight. You know it, and I'm telling you because I've also experienced it. I'm lucky to have done so. But that beautiful love gives you not only that peace, but it also gives you a freedom of your being without the anxiety that this person might leave any moment. You feel a sense of certainty.
Yes.
I'm not referring to certainty where you just wait for things to happen. But it's also uncomfortable since you have to live up to it. Meet that commitment's demands.
Yes.
That's true love.
That's the famous in good times and bad.
Exactly.
It's in the good times. I celebrate with you and everything's going to be great. But in the bad times, I'll be with you too. I'll support you. I'll cheer you on. I'll help you. And sometimes we'll both be going through tough times, but we won't give up.
Exactly.
However, Ale, people today in this era and those who are listening won't let me lie. Please comment I confirm or yes or I agree. People today are looking for momentary pleasure, not the project to build, as you are rightly mentioning. People today want everything with one click, instant gratification for the Amazon or Mercado Libre package to arrive at their door. Where is the effort? Where is it?
But let's not go too far. Look at how dating works now.
How?
I give you a like and that's supposed to let you know I'm interested in you.
I've often asked my friends who still play that game saying, hey, what are you waiting for, man? What are you waiting for? Do you think a like will make her reply, I finally found the love of my life. I was desperate to find you? You have to do something more. Right? The problem is that he does something more. Then, well, yes, they write to him, but then 10 more write to him. Or they think that texting them for weeks is already the same as going out with them. So, where is the process, Ale? What do your fellow consultants tell you, for example, about where they're getting stuck, what's happening?
You know what I think? I'm not sure I should attribute it solely to avoidant attachment. But I think that the ease with which things are done now makes people not have to work on their insecurities, but rather be very focused on satisfying their ego. I'll give you an example.
Yes.
If I post a photo, if I upload a photo in a bikini, I'm going to wait for validation, right? And if I see that I'm doing well with that bikini photo, guess what I'm going to do with the other photos?
Bikini.
Bikini. Of course, but actually, what am I looking for when I post those photos? For people to tell me I look attractive, for appreciation, validation.
And attention.
And attention, right? But I'm not looking for something. I'm not looking for depth when talking to someone. I'm looking for people to notice me for who I am as a person. I'm looking for them to see me as such. I think that in the case of men, it can be more or less the same as well. I think they hide behind that fear of rejection because for men, dealing with rejection is really hard. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yes, it's hard for us. Of course, it's hard for us.
So it's easier to reach out to people through a phone, WhatsApp, or Instagram, sending messages, seeing who I might connect with out there,
Yes.
than to face that wound of rejection that I already have and work on it and say, let me see what I can get from this person. Or if I can go out with this person, or if this person is interested in me, instead of everything just being so easy.
Yes, and you said something very important. People are looking to feed their ego, not their soul. By feeding their ego, what we see is, and we've all played that game, it's not like I'm pretending to be better. I play too, less and less now, not anymore, but I do know what it's like. The photo in the expensive car, the bikini, the amazing trip, the fancy restaurant, the cool friends. And a lot of people come to my courses and tell me, Johnny, I just don't understand why I only attract men who just want me for sex. And I tell them,
Are you serious?
exactly.
Have you seen your Instagram?
Have you seen your Instagram? Have you seen what you're offering? You're offering sex.
And I'm going to defend them here, those women who do that. Just saying.
Yes, we're not judging them, but
We're not judging, but it's a wake up call.
correct.
And this is where I want to step in and say, why? And I'm telling you this because my clients come to me with this issue too, and they say, but I don't understand why. And it's very simple. Look, you're not giving people the chance to get to know you because you're still not completely convinced of who you are.
Applause. True.
If you only knew what an amazing woman you are, if you only knew that just with that confidence, with the way you treat others, with how dedicated you are, with how entrepreneurial you are, with that spark you have, with that beautiful energy you have, you could attract people who are truly valuable. You wouldn't be thinking about taking that bikini photo, it would be the last thing on your mind.
And you say something very important. Who are you?
Who are you?
The problem is we forget who we are due to the carbon covering your diamond, all those wounds we've discussed today. And then we believe that what we do is what generates results and not who we are. But there are people who are magnetic, Ale,
Totally.
simply because of their smile, their charisma, their empathy, their caring way of listening.
It's about their outlook on life. Some people have impressive ideas that make you say, wow.
And they don't post a single photo in a bikini?
None. And that's fine. If you post bikini photos, that's fine too. Just balance it properly.
Correct.
With what you are in essence. If you're happy and content as you are, that's perfect. But if you feel an inner emptiness and wonder, why do they only notice me for this? Try showing others who you really are as a person, who you are, but first convince yourself of who you are.
That's right. And then the same thing happens with men. So it's clear that it's not just with women. My friends say those women only care about money. A woman who just wanted me to take her on a trip.
Oh, darling, and showing off the yacht, the private jet. And what do you want us to do with your yacht and your jet, darling?
Why are you all laughing over there? I have a feeling you might have met my friends too. No, just kidding, but what's my point? That you're offering something in this dating marketplace, which are the dating apps on social media. So you're saying I have this? No, you don't upload photos. Well, not everyone is reading a book, this one in nature. No, they suffer, they upload this kind of friends. This one, the Ferrari, the expensive lens, the expensive watch, the whatever. And then they complain because people only wanted them for that. So, of course, the result is inconsistent with what you long for, but that's because what you do doesn't really match what you truly... Deep down, you are playing the game of masks, and then you complain because the other person also showed up wearing a mask to play with you. Isn't that right?
That's tough, really tough.
That's true.
And you also made me think about people who, for example, have told me, but they're really good people and all, but no, they don't help me financially. And you know, notice you're seeking someone out of a sense of lack.
100%.
You're trying to fill yourself up. If you want that person to be your provider financially, what do you have to offer? How do you think that person is going to treat you after they take care of your entire financial situation? If that's how you are, if you're treating that person like a bank, what do you think that person is going to do with you and how are they going to treat you? Like a product?
Like a product. Unless, of course, he's a provider, a responsible man, and he's looking for that homely side in you or something like that, then yes, it's an agreement and both of you.
Fabulous.
Fabulous. But if you're just there, like you said, they pay you, give you things, and take you places as long as you're useful, you're just a product. So what? And so, I mean, it's tough to realize that. But instead of letting the people listening to us suffer, use us as a mirror. I mean, what result or reflection is life giving me that I don't like? And where is the belief I need to change in order to produce a new result? Now I'll discuss the effects that the betrayal wound causes in dating or relationships, which is the area we haven't covered yet. We've already seen abandonment and rejection.
Rejection.
We're missing betrayal. What does a person with an open wound of betrayal look like when dating or in a romantic relationship?
Extremely jealous.
Extremely jealous. What a common wound.
Extremely jealous and very reactive, distrustful. Looking for signs, even now, creating fake profiles to see who he's talking to, counting the likes.
I know several like that who have accounts to see where their boyfriends are. Please, don't do that anymore, please.
There's a meme that says, "You blocked me, but you didn't block the chicken account," something like that.
I can't believe that. But yeah, it's real.
It's real.
It's a joke, but it's also a true story.
It's a true story.
It's a true story.
I'm serious, but if you have that wound of betrayal, what's going to happen is that you'll be on alert. Imagine being on alert about how many likes your partner's photo gets, or your own.
Oh no.
Or to what, or who they're following, or who you're liking, or what you're sharing. Having to pay attention to those kinds of details just shows that what you really have is an overwhelming fear of being left.
100%. I mean, it can also be connected to abandonment.
Exactly. See why I said they're all connected?
Yes, I agree with that. And generally, we don't have just one wound, right, Ayla?
No, I think we carry several.
Me too. For now, I have all of them. I mean, every time I read about the wounds, I have all of them. I keep them under control. I have them well identified.
Yes.
I watch my reactions, I watch my temper, but I identify with all of them. I don't know which ones you all identify with. Let us know in the comments, but
Totally.
it's normal, right?
I think so. You know, and the worst part is that there are certain things that trigger one wound more than another. It depends on your situation. I've never met anyone without wounds, and if someone claims they have none, I think they're lying.
Well, even superheroes and cartoons show us that they go through learning and growth processes and total identity crises.
Totally.
Why would you, who are not Iron Man or Barbie, not have a wound, right?
You're not Superwoman, of course, obviously. The point here isn't about not having wounds. I think it's more about being aware of them and understanding something. Let's see. Returning to the topic of famous teachers. I already know that I have a wound of rejection. Why would I get involved with someone who constantly triggers my rejection wound? Why am I choosing such a painful lesson when I can say, I already have that wound, I've worked on it? Let me be with someone who isn't constantly triggering that wound in me.
And how does that work? Because if you're supposed to choose that person to repeat and change the ending, then how do you break the pattern?
You might ask, if I have an abandonment wound, why get involved with someone who's not fully committed?
But the thing is, your trauma controls you.
Not necessarily, because that's where the learning process comes in. Because when you say, you know what, I get it now, I understand that I shouldn't get involved with people who are emotionally unavailable. I already understood it, also because it hurts me a lot. It brings back all the wounds from the past.
Yes.
You know what? I'm not going to let myself get carried away by the first words or the first signs this person gives me anymore. From now on, I'm going to be a little smarter and only pay attention to actions, to what that person does, not what they say to me.
Applause again, because people these days believe a whole story of promises. They choose to believe it even though actions say otherwise, and then they run into reality and suffer. But the signs and the red flags were very clear. So, if the stove burns and you already know the stove is on and you go and stick your finger in,
It's your fault.
well, yes, it's your responsibility.
Besides, because those signs show up at the beginning, don't you think?
I think so, but why don't we see them?
Because we're too infatuated. There's a lot of excitement. And if in my mind I've already idealized that person,
Yes.
and I've already formed an image of what that person has to be, for me it's going to be very hard to want to see the reality. However, there's nothing more liberating than taking that veil off your eyes and seeing things as they are, not as you would like them to be.
But here we are again talking about beliefs, because belief of the social conditioning of having a partner. So this one talks to me nicely. I'll stay here. Oh, he's an alcoholic? It doesn't matter. He's fun. I had to pay the bill. He didn't offer to pay me back even though he invited me. It doesn't matter. It's probably just a phase, and you start making excuses for everything, right? Oh, I saw messages with another girl. He must just be friendly, right? But no.
He must be very friendly, just imagine.
Just imagine.
I'm going to give you another clue.
Tell me.
Look, when you start dating someone and that person is the first one to leave or end the conversations with you, they leave you on read. It's inconsistent.
Ghost spotted.
Ghost spotted. Be careful, because that person is just using you for entertainment. They're controlling the connection from the start, managing their feelings, and overseeing the relationship dynamic.
I hadn't thought about it that way.
That already tells you something really important, that what you mean is that he's very busy.
Yes, he sets the pace, or she does.
Yes. And you justify it by saying, it's just that. It's just that he's always very busy and I think I'm too intense. No, dear. What's really happening is that this person is deciding when and how to talk to you and wants to control the relationship.
Red flag.
Red flag.
Well, to those beliefs and conditioning that don't let you see the red flags, add all the hormones from being in love.
No.
How can I deny this pleasure I'm feeling? I'd rather just play dumb.
No, that magical chemistry?
This magical chemistry, yes. And on top of that, add the fact that really we don't want to see because we believe, as you said, it can change because of us.
It's just that for me, yes.
Applause again.
For me, it is going to change. Not for them, because they didn't motivate him that much and he didn't have that amazing connection with them that he does have with me.
Who's talking there, Ale? His diamond or Ale? Who?
No, it's the hurt person talking.
Correct, the ego.
The ego.
The mechanism.
And you know that many times we don't get over certain relationships or certain breakups precisely because of the ego, not even because of love.
Let's see, explain it to me.
Sometimes it's pure ego, sometimes it's really hard for us to get over certain breakups because what hurts is your ego, that you weren't chosen, that this person didn't change for you in the end.
How painful. The ego?
I did so much and thought I was special to you. Did you really not want to change for me? How could you?
Yes.
How dare you?
So that's why they return, and she's the one who ends it, right?
See? That's exactly what happens.
Here, I'm the one who calls the shots. Yes.
So that's exactly what happens, Johnny, when that person decides to come back?
Yes.
And you suffered so much. Look, you went to therapy, you did family constellations, you visited the tarot reader, you did everything so that person would come back. And when they come back, you go to therapy and say, oh, I think I don't feel the same anymore. Of course, the challenge is over.
The challenge is over.
It's over. It was all just ego. It was just a need to be chosen.
It was all just ego. Why does the ego need to be chosen?
Wow.
That's a good question, isn't it?
That's a really good question.
Is it a defense mechanism to avoid reliving childhood feelings of not being chosen?
I think it's the part that protects you, the ego. It's like that part of you that protects so that you don't feel bad again. So if we put it in the context of what you just said, it's very possible.
Yes.
That it's like that part of us that warns us we're going to be rejected again or that we're going to be abandoned. And we fight with all our strength to keep that from happening.
Uh-huh.
If I want change, I'll make it happen. And to avoid rejection, I won't give others a reason to talk, so I'll stay with that person even if they don't change.
What a complicated equation.
It's horrible.
Is it easier to heal or not?
It's easier to say, you know what, I don't care what people say, I'm not going to stay here. Or you know what, I quit. I don't care anymore if I'm chosen. No, I don't want to be chosen anymore. You know what, don't choose me anymore.
What happens, Ale, when with that attitude, you're in a relationship with a good person, essentially, even though their mechanisms and their ego clash with yours, which is the most common thing in the world. And then there's friction. Friction that leads you to polish the diamond. If you pay close attention to those reflections in your mirror, how far do you have to say, okay, are this person and I growing together or not? This is already toxic. I mean, how do you tell the difference? This person and I, yes, we have certain complicated moments, but we're growing and healing. Or no, I mean, this is going from bad to worse. How can you tell the difference in everyday life?
Johnny, when someone loves you, you feel it. There's no doubt about it.
Even if they sometimes put you through complicated moments?
Even if you can have a very complicated relationship with someone. But if the love is real, you feel it.
Yes.
Now, love is not enough. You need maturity from the other person.
Repeat that, please.
Love is not enough. You need the other person to have the ability to commit, the maturity. It's just that sometimes we say, I know they love me, and I say, yes, they love you, but how? How do they love you? You tell me. Do you like how they love you? Does it make you feel loved? Is it how you want to be loved? There's no doubt love is very different for everyone, and everyone has a different way of feeling loved that I have no doubt about. But here the question is you. How do you want to be loved? What kind of love do you want? And if the kind of love the other person is offering you is it something that's really worth it?
Yes,
Isn't it going to be something toxic? Because you will want to work on it, and because you feel loved by that person will have the maturity to work with you and overcome the difficulties.
absolutely. And as we said, it's seen in actions, not in words. And now, in these ways, the love languages really come to the surface. Me with my wife, and I hope I don't get divorced for saying this. No, honestly, when I got into the relationship with her, we had very different languages. And she showed her love more through acts of service, while I value quality time more.
Yes.
But I ended up studying this so much because I was really in a like a maze where I needed to find the way out to heal this between the two of us. Before finishing, I realized that I didn't want love in just one language. I wanted love with all its ingredients, all 5 languages. And what did we do? Since we really knew we loved each other, even if she spoke Chinese and I spoke French, we decided to practice all the languages every day in different proportions. And today, we can tell you, or I can tell you, that I feel more loved or truly loved. Because of that, because otherwise, before I didn't receive that love the way she gave it to me.
It's very common.
It's very common. And that made me grow and her too. So that's why I tell you. And I'd like to keep insisting on this. So that people understand in which areas there are opportunities to grow as a couple and in which areas there aren't anymore. I mean, it's better to just look for,
Someone else.
or you could just consider being single, right?
Johnny, but look, what you just said is so valuable because not only did you want it, but she wanted it too, 100%.
100%.
Both of you had the maturity to say, come on, this is a commitment from both of us. This is something that's worth it for both of us. And that's why it worked out. Do you understand me?
Totally.
I'm going to give you an example. My partner. Above all, he speaks the language of service.
Okay, acts of service.
Honestly, I don't really care if he tells me, you look gorgeous. I already know I look gorgeous. For me, it's very important and deeply meaningful when he does things for me without me asking.
Okay.
For example, I'm reading a book and he comes over and grabs a lamp, and so I don't strain my eyes. He moves the lamp and says, look, make yourself comfortable.
Okay.
For me, that's an act of love.
Yes.
If your partner doesn't speak your language, you won't feel loved no matter how much they care about you. That's why we need to learn each other's language.
And I highly recommend learning all 5 languages. For me, love itself is a language, and it has 5 or even 6 or 7 components.
Ways to express it.
Yes, I would add effective communication, empathy. I don't know. I can think of 10,000 languages. Being a provider can be a language. There are many languages. But thinking about the 5 most common ones, I truly invite you to learn them and practice them every day because your relationship will be much more abundant. Because, well, half-hearted love isn't love, as the song says.
When you're used to being with someone who doesn't love you as you want, you may say, they love me in other ways, but you start doubting even those ways, so you don't truly feel loved. Besides, let me tell you something. Love itself is so big and so beautiful, and it also has something. It's flexible too. And if you know that you have enough love for your partner and you suspect or sense that your partner isn't feeling loved, you'll do whatever it takes to speak that language, because love really does have that power.
That's exactly what Karen and I did because we both had a growth mindset and it changed. But on our own, and because we wanted to grow in this relationship, we gave our best by being flexible, just like you said, to speak most of the languages most of the time. But there are people who don't, who get stuck in their pride, in their ego, and say, not me, this is how I am, and they should love me as I am.
That's how I am, that's how I am. Too bad, that's how I am.
That's not so good, right?
No. And I also think it tells you about that person's inflexibility.
Exactly.
And you don't want to be with someone who lacks so much generosity, and honestly, it's exhausting to be with such a selfish person.
Yes, I agree.
That's who I am. If he likes it, great. If not, too bad.
Too bad. I love that Colombian expression.
But it's true. Do you really want to be with someone who doesn't care about your feelings?
Not at all. And vice versa, right? I mean, that's where emotional responsibility comes in, both with yourself and with the other person. I care that what I do affects the other person and myself too. But people, we lack that awareness. And that's why I invite everyone listening to follow Ale, to follow what I do, to keep watching episodes like this, because we make the unconscious conscious, which is part of the process of healing the wound. Before that, I want to ask you something. Do you think that the person who taught you through your pain can be the love of your life? Is that possible? That's an interesting question.
I doubt it, and I want to be very responsible about that. Because I'm one of those who believes that, careful, I'm not referring to tolerance. It's understood that all relationships are different and you have to work on them. But romanticizing the one who's hurting me so much, I don't think so.
Even if it's your wound.
Even if it's my wound,
Okay.
because I believe that true love, the kind that comes to heal that wound, comes to take that weight off your shoulders and teach you in a kind and beautiful way, not to trigger your anxiety and cause so much uncertainty.
I agree with you, but I want to go even deeper into the nuance so it's clear there. One thing is to take you to the extreme and only live in your wound. And another thing, clearly, is that no one ever touches your wound. Those are the extremes. But what about someone who touches your wound, shows it to you, and gives you the chance to grow from it?
That's the difference. She's letting me grow instead of just touching the wound and leaving me unchanged.
How would that look in both scenarios?
Let's suppose I'm with someone who's showing me that my wound is being dependent.
Okay.
The fear of abandonment. But instead of causing me more abandonment, that person comes to show me that I need to be independent and that he is a refuge and a safe place for me. In that case, he could be my teacher.
Beautiful. He's
Encouraging,
exactly.
so that I can manage my wound, but at the same time, she's accompanying me.
Exactly.
He didn't lose himself or let me get lost following him.
I love it. Let's see if the analogy fits. It is I push you to fly. You don't hold on to me to fly, but I accompany you on the flight.
On the flight, if anything happens, I'm here.
Exactly. Beautiful. That's it. That's the ideal of
That's the ideal.
what would be
The opposite.
the exact opposite.
I romanticize someone who makes my wound worse or triggers it even more, who opens up my abandonment wound even more. With his indecision. Today he loves you, today he wants you, and tomorrow, and it's your fault because you are very, very, very needy. That's not a teacher at all. It's a waste of time because actually that person, instead of helping you with your wound, which is your wound, is just making it worse. If you're healing, don't you just need them to leave your wound alone?
One thing, let me see if I'm understanding you correctly so I can explain it. And if not, correct me. It's like someone comes and says, look, here's a wound. I'm going to touch it so you can see it. And another thing is, look, I'm going to pour lemon on this wound, stab it again, add some salt, and laugh at it. That's wrong.
That's wrong.
Okay,
There's the difference.
let them tell us about it. Okay. Now, the famous question, which we clearly won't be able to solve everything here, but we can help you take the first steps. That's what Al is here for. That's what I'm here for. To follow support processes where you can really heal those beliefs, those wounds, those attachments, everything we've talked about here. But if we had to make a summary or a basic overview of how a wound is healed, what would you say?
First, acknowledge it.
Okay,
You can't heal, or rather, you can't fix a problem that you don't even know exists.
okay,
Don't put so much pressure on yourself. First, identify it, see in what ways that wound is affecting you, in which areas it's affecting you. And just knowing, having that knowledge will put you in a creative mode so you can see what you can do to stop carrying that wound.
I love it. So let's see, to sum up. Observe your results, observe your
Dynamics.
emotions, your dynamics, and wherever you see friction or boiling or anger or whatever, emotions that aren't so sweet, attention.
Attention.
Attention. Then you also said to recognize it and accept it, right?
Accept.
Don't judge yourself.
Don't judge yourself or put so much pressure on yourself. Now, what are you willing to do so I don't have to deal with that suffering?
Okay?
That's where the whole thing starts. Let me sign up for Johnny's course. Let me go to therapy. Let me do this. Let me see. What other episodes are there about this topic? Let me read books. That's when the dynamic comes in. Your desire to heal starts to awaken.
And here I'm going to make a little parenthesis because there's a common problem, which is like because of social media, Ale. Everyone thinks they understand everything, but few actually apply it. And so they think that just by understanding a concept, they are already healed.
Yes.
But they keep doing the same thing. So I kind of want us to emphasize a little bit on what you're saying is, I've already seen that I have a wound, I recognize it, I accept it, I'm patient, but I need to go beyond just an aspirin. It could be the course, it could be therapy, it could be
Whatever it is.
whatever it is, but in depth, not just giving yourself a little pat on the wound with a quote you post on your stories so everyone can see that you're already healed or things like that, right?
Correct. Now you can choose to do nothing.
Like this?
You can choose to do nothing, but when the next almost something or breakup happens, you'll soon find yourself in therapy. Now, if you decide to identify it now and say, okay, I have this, let me make sure it doesn't become a problem. My lack of independence with him, with this need I have to be smothering the person I'm with, you already start making a change, but we all have the opportunity to choose. You decide when you want to heal, whether it's now or when it hurts deeply. It's like when you decide to go to the doctor. It hurts here. Well, no, let me just take some ibuprofen or whatever. When the pain is unbearable, you finally say, now I have to go to the
doctor. Let's hope they don't take too long with their process.
Don't take ibuprofen, please don't take it.
And that ibuprofen later is very negative because it's alcohol, casual sex, antidepressants, steady partners.
On and off.
They numb or anesthetize
The pain.
the pain. That, please, no. Get into deep processes of support, courses, emotional education, therapeutic ones. But please, no, don't just take ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is fine for a day while you go to the doctor, but go to the doctor. In this case, they are professionals like us, and there are many more. I mean, so it's not misunderstood that we're offering, even though we are, but so you understand that there are many options. I mean, you know what happens to me a lot, Ale? People tell me, I don't understand why it took me so long to do this for myself.
That's how it happens all the time. You know what's even sadder? Seeing people in their 50s, 60s, telling you, how did I waste so many years of my life? And right now, when I want to be free, I can't do it because I have this condition or because I can't do the things I wanted to do.
Oh, but Ale, why? That's where we go back to the question of why we decide to suffer for so long, because it's so normalized.
It's very normalized, and because many times we just don't find help earlier. I don't know if it's happened to you, but I get messages saying, why didn't I listen to you? 30 years ago.
I wasn't born yet.
Sorry, I wasn't born back then.
How old are you, Ale?
I just turned 36.
Ah, you look younger.
Thank you.
Question, parenthesis. Okay, you're young, don't get me wrong, because later all the women will be like, you called her old. No.
No, but I feel like I'm in my 40s since I've done a lot, and I think that's it. I've lived a fast-paced life.
Okay. And I mean, since we're touching on it a bit without going too deep, why did you get into this subject of childhood wounds and everything you talk about?
Because look, I had been researching childhood wounds since I worked with children in foster care, which are the shelters in the United States. There, I was a therapist for children who had experienced violence, sexual abuse, among many other things. Since then, I began noticing those children, their wounds, their abandonment and rejection, and how they grew attached to me. So, the topic of emotional bonds started to really catch my attention. That was a subject I left there, untouched, while I started studying. And as I did my bachelor's, my master's, and then my doctorate, it was an area that I kept going deeper into as I became more practical.
Okay.
Then there came a point where I had the opportunity to work in maximum security prisons in the United States. And that's when I said, wow, I'm seeing the same kids, but now I'm seeing them as adults and they have these wounds. This is what these wounds look like.
In adulthood.
In adulthood. That caught my attention, so I began documenting everything. When I started at a private clinic, I realized it's not much different from what you see outside.
Uh-huh.
It's a matter of if you don't heal, you'll become a prisoner no matter where you are. That abandonment wound can lead you into relationships that feel like an emotional prison. You don't think about anything else but that. So I started to apply it in that sense, and it really caught my attention, and one thing led to another. And well, I think the audience itself kind of pushes you to study certain things and to go deeper into others.
That's really cool because honestly, you do it wonderfully. In fact, I'll recommend your book again, which I imagine can be found everywhere. Amazon, bookstores. The child I was, the adult I choose to be, it's excellent. Above all, if you want to start this process of healing and growth, to stop being a wounded, aged child. Well, it's the highly recommended book. I had to read it in order to present it.
She had to read it.
Well, I had to read it.
No, yes.
But that doesn't mean I didn't like it.
Of course, besides, it's an honor for me
Thank you very much.
that you read it and will join me for the presentation.
Thank you. I already studied the topic, but I liked your presentation and how you discuss modern things like almost something relationships. I mean, it's not like a clinical, boring book. It's really very much about everyday life, about the situations we face. So, really, I highly recommend it. I like to start wrapping things up. What does a person who is no longer ruled by their childhood wounds really look like? Even if we can still feel the triggers, how can we know or measure our progress?
Don't forget that above all, we are human, and this applies to everyone. No matter how much healing you do, no matter how much you meditate, no matter how much you do whatever you want, you will still feel some pain here and there. Undoubtedly.
100%.
We're all imperfect. That's where it ends. But you're going to feel it. In that certain things don't hold you back, they don't stall you like before. That relationship with that person that worked out is no longer going to steal so much of your peace and tranquility, but instead, you will learn to let go. You will be able to set those boundaries with people without being afraid that they will abandon you. You will start things with the conviction that if it doesn't work out, it's okay. I tried, and it was for me, not for others to see it. You will make decisions more for yourself and less for others, not for validation or for anyone's entertainment.
I love it. You will be a person with much more independence, individuality, fulfillment, self-love, who is going to experience things, but because you want to live them. Not out of the need for other reasons, like validation or affection, but because you decide and choose it. And something very important that you said is you will keep feeling, but with those feelings, you will now decide what to do with them. That's emotional intelligence, right?
Emotional intelligence, Johnny, it's super important because when you work on those wounds, you already have the ability to decide what to do with them. Oh, this hurt me. It hurt me deeply. But you know what? I'm not going back to the same place where I already got hurt.
Yes.
Thank you for the lesson, but I don't want or need it anymore.
And you save yourself more pain than you add because I say this, I share it humbly. One thing is the pain caused by the trigger, whatever it is, totally.
Uta,
It burns your body. I mean, you go into shock, you can't think clearly. But then, if you give it a little time for the amygdala to relax just a bit, for your emotions to settle, for the boiling water to stop bubbling. Well, basically, you have two options. Throw a tantrum like a hurt child or express, as you said, what hurt you. Or even sometimes just let it go because it wasn't intentional or it was more about you than the other person or whatever. And you realize that by not making a scene or reacting, later on you just don't care anymore. It's like,
you know, I call that the key.
okay,
For me, we all have a key.
okay.
It's not about who wants to set me off, but who can.
100% agree. Otherwise, everyone gets the same place.
No, darling. Not everyone has the same importance. You have to learn to put everyone where they belong.
Okay.
So it's not about who wants to, it's about who can. And in that sense, I think we give importance to situations or people depending on what is important to us. When you have your priorities straight or you are clear about what is important to you, not just anyone can come and throw you off with a comment. There are things that I don't even pay attention to, and everyone tells me, hey, did you notice? I don't know and I don't care.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, I'm not interested because I don't take advice or feedback from someone I don't admire.
Okay, I like it.
Do you understand me?
Yes.
When you start focusing more on the emotional intelligence you mentioned, for me, it's the 24-hour rule if I'm too angry. I can't do absolutely anything about it in the next 24 hours. For me, that's a rule.
Okay.
Because emotions are completely unstable. I can be super happy today and later feel really sad, but if I'm ruled by my emotions, I'm really a prisoner again.
And those 24 hours, what? Do you just let them go by?
You get 24 hours to cry and throw tantrums alone without facing consequences. If I have to deal with anger and its consequences, it just creates problems for me. I want to avoid that.
Of course.
Like any intelligent person, right? If you give yourself 24 hours, as you said, there comes a point when you just don't care. Or that the decision you were going to make in the heat of the moment was going to be terrible and you didn't make it.
Exactly. You behave more maturely.
Exactly.
Something that's worked for me. You can say if it applies, but it's worked for me. It's just that sometimes in those 24 hours, which are sometimes less or sometimes more, like sometimes I feel anger or sometimes a lot of sadness or whatever it is. It's only when I'm alone that I allow myself to let it out. Sometimes when I drive, I just scream alone in the car.
Yes.
Or sometimes I hit a pillow, or sometimes I just start crying by myself. And it feels so good. Maybe it doesn't solve the issue or the trigger or the wound, but it does break the pattern of reacting against the other person or the trigger. So,
But look, it's so nice that you talk about emotions because, for example, most people or men tend to hold them in and do nothing with them.
that's how we were taught.
Exactly. But precisely the fact that you can identify them and express them. For me, that's a huge win because you have an advantage over others. I think emotions are way too demonized.
Men?
Everyone.
Everyone, yes.
It's the fact of not feeling vulnerable, right? And I feel that when you control an emotion too much, it comes out in the worst way.
Eventually, right? The pot explodes.
But when you are a person,
We've all been there, Ale, absolutely.
but for you to scream in the car or to stand somewhere where there's no one and scream and let out everything you feel, it's a way to manage that anger. What you're saying really helps a lot.
Yes, it's helped me a lot in moments when I really want to, when what I feel is just too much. Either cry or scream, but alone.
Alone.
Because then you let off steam, but you don't trigger what you are talking about, the problem. Because after a while, you're no longer angry about the trigger.
Now you must face the consequences of your actions.
Yes, exactly.
You know, the way I handle it is I stay silent.
Okay. And how does that help you vent?
It lets me vent by blocking others' input. I don't want to hear about anyone.
Okay, that's good. That's perfect.
It's like I take that time for myself. I give myself permission.
Okay. And does
It helps me regulate.
it make things easier for you later?
Of course, it's a place where I'm silent and don't want to know about anyone. I don't want to be good, understanding, helpful, or anything. I don't want to be Maria Alejandra, a psychologist, or anyone else. I just want to be alone.
Yes, that's right. At that moment, I don't want to know anyone.
I don't want to know about anyone.
But you don't cause any problems.
I don't cause problems.
And that breaks a very important pattern.
And I don't say things that I know will be very hurtful and that will deeply hurt the other person. Because I know how sharp my words are.
All right? And you don't hold grudges either.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people stay quiet, but then they want to get back at you later, or they'll hate you, or they don't want to see you anymore. That's also terrible. Ale, I could talk with you for like 10 hours or more.
Oh, and I could with you too, honestly. What a wonderful interview.
What a delight. Good news. We'll keep talking tomorrow and share more then, since we've already mixed up the timing of this episode. People can't tell if your book presentation is in the past, present, or future. But I really thank you again for making the effort to be here, for taking the time out of all the rush you had with your book presentation and everything else to be with us. I think we shared a lot of valuable things with you, but I want you to tell us in the comments, what are you taking away from this? What did you notice? What did you discover about yourselves? And above all, of course, go buy Ali's book, which is again, The Child I Was, The Adult I Choose to Be. It's available in all bookstores, on Amazon, Mercado Libre, and more. Go follow Ali. Anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
Yes, I want to say that not just because Johnny is here, but this was one of the interviews where I said I have to go talk to him. I mean, I value you a lot, and the content you create seems very responsible to me.
Thank you.
Way more responsible compared to a lot of people, and I really admire your work.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I felt it when we had our first message. The admiration was mutual, and I was really happy about that synchronicity in life, like we called each other with our minds. And today we're here and we're doing a lot of things together. So, well, I celebrate you. Thank you for celebrating me, and we'll see each other together in the next episode. Thank you for being here. See you soon. If this episode moved you, it's because it resonated with your soul. So if you want to take the next step to learn and apply everything we've talked about here, I want to invite you to my next online workshop, completely live, called Beautiful Love Challenge. It will be on November 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and there I will guide you in depth, so that you stop choosing from your wounds and start relating from beautiful love so you can find the love of your life. You will discover how to heal so you can step out of the modern love game by stopping the repetition of the same patterns. And most importantly, so you can start loving yourself in a beautiful way, because that's the foundation for attracting the love you truly deserve. First, have a good relationship with yourself. So, if you want to have me as your mentor in this unique experience and move on to the board of beautiful love, click now on the link below this episode or go directly to my Instagram profile to sign up. Don't let it pass you by, because this is your moment to level up in love and choose from your wholeness, not from lack anymore. I'll be waiting for you at the Beautiful Love Challenge with 3 classes that will change your life and your luck in love, because it's not luck, it's skill. Sign up and I'll see you there.
A true production.